Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
Spiritu dominatus, domine libre nos. From the lightning and the tempest, our Emperor deliver us. From plague, deceit, temptation, and war, our Emperor deliver us. From the scourge of the Kraken, our Emperor deliver us. From the blasphemy of the fallen, our Emperor deliver us. From the beginning of the demons, our Emperor deliver us. From the curse of the mutant, our Emperor deliver us. A morte perpetua, domine libre nos.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Stephen Four, Mike Haspel, and Jason Craze from Slow Fuse Gaming. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog. So many people today.
Yo, Robbie B has all the partners in crimes.
There was a lot more people than last time. What's up, guys? Hi, Jason.
Hey, what's happening, man?
Jason Haspel in the house. I'm back too. I missed last week. So excited to be back here with everyone here tonight.
Yeah, I missed a couple weeks. I've been working too hard, honestly, but glad to be back.
Haspel is using the patented juice technique on getting in shape. Don't eat, no sleep, nothing but caffeine.
4 Monster Energies a day, but they are sugar-free. So.
It's basically like drinking water.
Yeah, I feel that that's probably good for you. It's probably good for my liver. It's probably helping me out.
Say goodbye to that gallbladder. Talk to Juice.
Yeah, and when those bastards tell you don't need it, slap them.
Do you have a gallbladder, doctor?
Yeah. That's my goal, to get rich so I can put a gallbladder back in my body.
Oh my God. Yo, my man Mike Haspel, someone on our stream earlier in response to Jason's comment about being old and feeling old, they were like, hey, that's iron-headed old, our buddy Tom. And I was like, that's Mike Haspel old.
Yeah, that is.
Yo, I don't know, Jason, I don't know how you got that soundbite of iron-headed saying, if it's good enough for his nose, it's good enough for his butt.
No, if it's good enough for my butt, it must be good enough for my nose. It's about toilet paper. Yeah, one of the viewers was like, "Hey, you have to see this clip we got of Ironheaded," and I went and I watched it, and I nearly died laughing. And so I immediately, if not quicker, went and grabbed my audio capture software and pumped it up and just put it on the stream immediately as the Ironheaded soundbite. It's perfect.
It's so flawless. Like when I hear it, it's on point with any like comedy soundbite I've ever heard. Like it could be on like a nationally syndicated like morning talk show on like the radio. Like it's so funny.
I gotta like start like going back and looking for all those clips because man, that was so good. I was
do not watch mine because it'll just be a constant stream of inadvertent sexual innuendos.
So good.
I feel like anything can be taken out of context with us at this point.
I have said the phrase, now come in this hole real quick with this wash about 1,000 times.
I don't see what's wrong with that. You're just painting.
It is totally in context.
Yeah. It's totally.
Word. Well, welcome back, Juice. I missed you.
Absolutely. So happy to be here.
And of course,
I was actually I was channeling Haspel earlier today during the webcast because before I even knew he was going to be on also, I was like, you know what? I haven't drank out of this phenomenal horn that Haspel got us at Adepticon. Come to find out, these are the legendary horns that were sitting up on the table because it was with the same stuff that we have for our tournament boxes, And so people kept coming up to the table like, oh, wow, that's so cool. That's the trophies. That's the trophies. Like, no. These are ours. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, I love those things. They're great, man. They're a lot of fun to drink out of.
They are. I have mine. I've drinking ice water out of it because since I guess what was that month of my newest gout flare up was right after LVO.
Yeah, so like February, March.
So like 28 days of February or whatever, fucking, and so I literally only drink when I go out now. Like that's a, for anybody who doesn't know me IRL, that's a pretty big change.
Mm-hmm.
So I may buy a epic bottle of some favorite adult beverage for my birthday, which is on this weekend. But that's the level. That's the level I got to bring it at now. Can't be playing games too fat, too old to be limping around for 28 days at a time.
Yeah, that gout is no joke.
Truth.
So we got a lot popping off in the Market Watch this week because there's some new dwarfs coming out, which I guess sold out, and some of them are back in stock depending on what country you're in. And looking at GW, I guess you might be able to find some of them, but for the most.
So what happened there? They did the standard GW thing they always do. They put out a fresh new model that everyone's going to want, and they didn't put out enough actual physical units of it, or they did and they just reallocated. What were you saying there?
So it's like kind of weird, and this is all like pure conjecture. I have zero proof of any of this, but like, so apparently what they do is when they put things in their web cart, they have a retail store allocation. They have their own, or they have a web order allocation, retail store allocation for their own stores, and then they have trade sales allocation. So there's like 3 pools. They have one stack of, hey, all this is coming out. This is how many we have. And then they try to figure out, and they play with the numbers, and they're like, okay, this side gets this many, this side gets this many, this side gets this many. So like if they blow through in the first hour, they're like, oh crap, can we pull some from somewhere else and sell more over here? So that's why sometimes on Monday mornings, or it could be, I don't know. This is just, again, pure conjecture on the part of myself and other trade sale stockists and talking to former GW employees. This supposedly is how it works. I don't have any proof, but it makes sense if you think about it, because Monday morning stuff goes back in stock sometimes. And then, the trade sales, independent retailers are like, well, what the heck? My numbers got cut over the weekend because you sold out. But conversely, if they don't sell a lot on the web store side, sometimes they come at, the independent retailers, and they're like, hey, we have X, Y, and Z available. Would you like extra? So I guess it kind of goes both ways sometimes for them, if that is indeed how it works. But I mean, that's kind of what happened. Like stuff went out of stock, stuff came back in stock. I heard from a bunch of retailers today that they got calls saying that the base troops and the HQ unit, or the character unit, was available in unlimited quantities, but the ships and stuff were now out of stock, and they'd be back in May. So your guess is as good as mine at this point. That's just stuff that seems to make sense.
Well, your guess seems better than mine. I was like, all that information was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, no, my guess would have been like GW fucked up, didn't make enough. That wouldn't be the end of my guess.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, they did the same thing. They had the allotment problem where, depending on which channel got allotted and sold the quickest, they would move stuff around.
And I mean,
there was never anybody that was 100% happy, but
Right. It's just playing the shell game with a finite amount of stuff. And remember too, and I know Slow probably knows a little bit about this, like, so they used to produce in Memphis. Like they moved from Baltimore, they moved to Memphis. They're going to save all this money. And they put up this factory in Memphis with all these machines, injection molding sprues, machines. They're going to save all this money. Well, 4 years later, when the tower lease came out, the first tower lease with plastic broadsides and the new stuff there, and the riptides, remember, they ran out, and they were out for like a month because what happened was they switched production to strictly in England because they ran a third shift. Some bean counter said, hey, if we run a third shift in England, we actually save more money than trying to hire people and staff people in America, but we have to be just in time fulfillment at that point. So they shifted the whole thing, and they were playing catch up on the back end with the tower lease. Eventually they got it straight, but remember, you're talking about a company that you have to forecast, how much money are we going to put into production for this particular quarter? It's all very scripted. You can't just be like, oh, we blew through it all. Let's just print up some new stuff. It doesn't quite work like that sometimes, you know?
They can't run their business like we do.
Well,
it's the hassle of working on like a weekly delivery, right? You know, if you have new releases on a weekly basis, man, that's a huge undertaking for any business. So,
right.
You know, kudos for them to even keep that up for so long. That's ridiculous.
I mean, and they're smart about it too. When we talked to, I think last week, me and Kenny were talking about it with the Armageddon box set release. They literally made 7 sprues. There's 7 individual sprues, and they figured out how to make 6 different products with these 7 different sprues. So, you know, by reboxing and putting 4 sprues is this kit, and these 2 sprues are this kit, and these 2 sprues are this kit, and this 4 sprues goes here, and this is this kit, but it's literally 7 sprues. Like when you break it all down to its finite level, that's all that new Sector Mechanicus terrain is. 7 different sprues arranged throughout 6 different products. And it's genius if you think about it. Like it all goes together. It's all modular. It's all super compatible from the kit basher side. It seems
what's the name of that amazing terrain piece that we were all on last week? The magma
vent?
The magma, what is the galvanic magma vent?
Yeah, galvanic magma vent.
Like, did you ever get that installed in your garage yet, Jason?
Oh man, best conversation piece ever. We were out watching the hockey game this weekend. Uncle Touchy joined us, and you know, people were jumping up for joy when their hockey teams were scoring. And I was like, "Yo, that's almost as exciting as this galvanic magna vent I've been working on back at the house." And the whole place would go quiet. All hands on me. It was like those old E.F. Hutton commercials. Oh God, I just showed how old I am. But, like legit, the whole place would turn and say, "You have a galvanic magna vent, dude."
Yeah,
I was everybody's hero.
Are you secretly a supervillain?
Yeah.
You're like, damn, I've heard about those. That's sick, dog. Motherfucker, you don't know what a galvanic magnet is? Fuck out of here.
You know, the funny thing is I had never had so many people use the word dog directed towards me at one time in my entire life. It was stupendous.
At a hockey game?
It was actually at a bar where we were watching hockey, but you know, you get
bar.
I would also like to report that I was at my friend's house enjoying drinks with his wife and her sister and my friend James. I think there were some other people there, but we may have said that shit is dope, yo. And literally the women that were there turned and looked at us like we were alien beings. And I was like, no,
1997, motherfucker.
Right. They're like, oh, dang. And they got up and they started running around saying what we said. Like, obviously there was alcohol involved.
Oh, snap. And
I was like, yo, it's coming back. I hear it on BPM and XM radio all the time. It's coming back. And they're just like, nah, no, it's not. And I was like, whatever.
Yo, I want you to know, it definitely is coming back.
I apologize for nothing. I speak this way. You can't change me.
Yeah. I still wear my pants saggy. I keep a spray can for the tagging. to quote the immortal Fred Durst. What is it? Let me see if I can get it right. It's I keep a skateboard. I keep my pants saggy, a skateboard, and a spray can for the tagging. Like since Limp Bizkit album 1, that's what I do. All day, every day. Speaking of Limp Bizkit, did I show you guys that amazing Lego set that I received?
You showed us, but everybody else didn't get to see it.
Tonight.
I'll post pictures of it online, but I have received an epic, like 99 exclusive off-brand Lego Limp Bizkit concert set in the mail recently.
40K2 always coming in clutch.
Was that part of the birthday festival?
You know, I got a birthday present from her, all wrapped up nice, and then just this in a box. So I don't know if she was like, yeah, and this.
The birthday present, you're gonna open it up and says your real birthday present was Limp Bizkits. You know, toys.
Wow.
Sad face with a tear.
Yeah. One of those you want, one of those you don't want. I feel like. Well, anyways, so the dwarves came out. So we've got the book this week, which is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good value. 144 page book for $45, I believe. $45, one of the two. And it's actually it's $40, right? So what I like about the book is it's your standard Age of Sigmar book, and I know Juice, you don't, me and you, our armies, oh no, I guess my army does. Your Skaven don't have this yet, but they have all the allegiance abilities, the command benefits. But what's cool is there's like 6 different, we'll call them Space Marine chapters inside the book. So you've got, hey, you can play the dwarfs this way. You can play the dwarfs this way. You can play the dwarfs this way, which is really neat. But they also put in there paint guides for all 6 of said chapters. They're really skyports, the places where all the ships dock, bump docks. And so those are in there. And they also have tips and tactics on how to play the army too. So it's like an all-inclusive book at this point, which I thought was
that's definitely going the extra mile.
I feel like for $40, it's a solid value. There really isn't a reason, if you're going to play these guys, to pick the book up at the very least, you know. Now on the release side, you got the frigate that's coming out, which is the middle ship. We'll say that is the one on a flying base or a dreadnought size base, 120 mil oval, whatever you want to call it. That is $80 retail. So that one's out this week. Then of course you've got the battle line guys. They're called Arcanaut Companies. They're $45. Pretty neat models. You get 10 in there. It's pretty much 83 different components. They have one of each head from what it looks like. So there's only 10 heads, but there's a lot of different ways you can arm just the grunt troops with like different swords or axes. I think they call them privateer pistols. They all have that stock. And then there's a couple of different, there's 3 different unit upgrade weapons in there, which look pretty neat too. And then they've got have you guys seen it? The Admiral guy, he has, it looks like a thunder hammer. It's called a Scalf hammer, SKALF. I don't know. And a volley pistol. He's $25, but I can see a lot of people just buying this model just to like paint him up.
I hope that pistol isn't the standard death to all captains that they've ever created, where every one of them have a plasma pistol in their hands.
Oh, you mean like a plasma pistol? I think it is better than a plasma pistol. Let me see if I got the rules here.
Oh my God. Yes. Give me that combi plasma. Give me that plasma pistol. God, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
It's actually not bad. 3 attacks, 3s to hit, 4s to wound, neg 1 ren, 1 damage.
What's the range?
12.
You said 3 shots?
3 shots, yeah. 3s to hit, 4s to wound, neg 1. His thunder hammer is 2 attacks, 3s to hit, 2s to wound, neg 2 ren, 2 damage. Wow.
Damn.
That's solid.
I'll do some work.
That's might be worth it. Just don't roll that 1 when you disembark, because if he's the only one in there, he's dead. No, I'm just kidding. We'll talk about that later. So there's those. That is the big releases. Now coming out next week, and I think we kind of alluded to this already, maybe in the pregame, me and Haspel were talking about it, was the week 2 stuff, which will be the gun hauler for $50, which is the smaller ship. It looks like it's on a large cav base. I can't tell for sure. It appears to be. It's just a single pilot with a single gun kind of ship thing. The Grunstock Thunderers, I guess they're Devastator kind of type things, for $40 for their squad. And then they're coming out with the, I guess, eagerly anticipated Armageddon rulebook for $40, which will have all of the additional rules that they put out in PDF form all in one handy dandy book that you can purchase for $40. Now, I'm not sure. They had said something about you order it and then it's going to be like made in time ordering or published, like
published on demand.
Yeah,
print on demand, that kind of thing. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good for a book, for a release like that. That is a good model to use.
To be responsive, yes. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would like to see it in their local store, and I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work yet. If it will be available locally, but it'll at least be available on GDub's site, which is what a lot of people were looking for. I feel like it's at this point, right?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's the updated Necromunda rules. That's kind of why I want it.
Yeah, and they look pretty fresh, to be honest. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. Just a cursory look, with the modifiers and things. It looks to be a fairly involved game, as long as you don't try to field 20 models. You might be there for a while.
Do you guys know, did they take the living Necromunda rules that had been being built by the community over the years, and did they adapt that, or did they start back to where Necromunda left off as an official GW property and tweak it from there? Do you guys know?
I don't know.
I would say probably it's definitely not based on the community rules, because I mean I've been reading through those recently to get involved, and I don't think.
Oh yeah, you were playing Inquisimunda, right?
I was trying to get into it. I haven't played it yet, but I've been reading through all the rules, and it's like unless this thing has like pages upon pages of like upgrades that are like, I mean I don't know, but like basically, does it have like a page of guns, a page of melee weapons, and then like a rule for each one of those weapons that's totally unique to itself, and then can each individual dude like augment his ballista skill, weapon skill, armor, like literally every single guy.
If you like don't move and stuff, or like you're
no, I mean like when you build your army. I mean like when you build your army, let's say like these 5 orcs, instead they're 3 orcs and they have 3 wounds each, and they have 4 of flak armor, and they have this. Like, can you like is that available, or
no? You can't get like
one set of rules.
You can't have dudes like running around in power armor right off the bat. You got to work up to having like operatives and stuff. So no, I'm gonna say you can't do that part.
The community document has gotten very robust. A lot of, very into it, but it's very complicated.
It's literally one of the best living rule books I've seen in a long time.
Oh, I'm sure they borrowed something from it. I mean, let's be honest. They usually look at all available sources and kind of start to order a la carte, so to speak, for whatever they're working on sometimes.
Yeah, and the living rules are based off the original rules, so it's not like it's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I could definitely see that. They would be remiss in their duties if they didn't at least take a look at it, I suppose. For the most part. What do you got on the video game front, Haspel?
First thing is you must construct additional pylons. Our friends at Blizzard have re-released the original StarCraft, remastered, updated graphics and stuff, and it is free. So you just need to like download it, and I guess there's a patch that you download, and it updates everything. So it's like if you want to get that nostalgia and blow off all your adult responsibilities, StarCraft is free. You can just go down there and get it and play. So that's fun.
I might have to do that this coming up weekend.
Well, this weekend I wish I could do that, but this weekend is the multiplayer beta for Dawn of War 3.
Dun dun dun.
So if I have some free time, that's what I'm going to be doing. So that should be a lot of fun. You have to sign up in advance at the Dawn of War 3 website. They have, if you go on Facebook, they have all kinds of links to it, or you can go to the website, and it's just a sign up thing. But I haven't gotten an email back or anything, so I'm hoping that on Friday they'll just shoot out a mass email saying, "Hey, here it is. You can just go. Here's the code. Get in and go."
Oh, that would be sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. I mean, I've been waiting. Dawn of War 1, I mean, that was like everybody's jam. Dawn of War 2, I felt like was a little bit of a bait and switch, because it was essentially the World War II game, Company of Heroes, I think it was, reskinned. And I played the Company of Heroes, and when my friends and I were playing Dawn of War 2, I was just like schooling everybody, and they were like, "How do you know how to play this?" I'm like, I've been playing it for a year now. It's just skinned as World War II. So I felt like it was a little bit of a bait and switch, because they had hyped us all up that Tyranids were going to be in it and everything. And then they just changed the scale of the game from being, massive battles to down to like, squad sized engagements. It was still fun in its own way. I love the spinoff they came off with, where you just had like the HQs in the battle arena, and you just fight one another there. That was a lot of fun. But overall, I felt Dawn of War 2 was kind of a disappointment. I'm really hoping that Dawn of War 3 is more a return to what Dawn of War 1 was. And I still play Dawn of War 1. We got the Ultimate Apocalypse mod on there, and it includes Titans and all kinds of stuff. And it's a heck of a lot of fun. But yeah, so we still play that occasionally, but you want a newer game that incorporates all the new stuff. So I pay a lot for my gaming rig, so I want to use it to the ultimate level.
I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that, dude. I think Dawn of War 3 is going to be huge. And from all appearances, it looks just as good as it sounds. I mean, all the, in-game stuff we've seen, just, adding the knight in there, the Wraith Knight or the Imperial Knight from the mechanic just looks ridiculous. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, that cinema they posted was so gangster.
Yeah,
cinematic trailer, like God, and I loved it because like the Night Titan moved like a football player.
Yeah. It turns out we're all thinking like I always imagine them moving like mechs, from BattleTech, like an Atlas or something, where it's just very ponderous, very solid, taking slow steps. And then when you saw that video, it just turned that on its head. You were just like, whoa, that thing is fast.
Dude is a legit running back. Like he was going at it, bro. I was like, oh shit.
Well, you want to know what? At least they nailed it because, after watching the graphics of the Dreadnoughts and stuff like that, like literally how the rule set plays, that's exactly how he should move. Like high speed, 12 inches. Like in this game, it's pretty quick. He's got big legs. He moves big. I was impressed as well.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but if you look at like how much intricacy is in like the exoskeleton on that guy, there's a lot of like pivot joints and movement opportunity built into the model itself. Unlike the Dreadnought, when you look at him, he's not like his legs clearly move this way. He swivels this way. His arms rotate this way. Like there's literally almost no extra shit. Where the Night Titan is like advanced robotics. And it was awesome to see that come to life in the trailer. I was like, oh my God, I have to revamp every one of my like role playing, mental images when I'm like pew-pewing on the tabletop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No lie, man.
There's a debate in chat about what are they talking about? Like, because the Marines are skipping around in the Dawn of War trailer,
or they're skinny, like they're not buff. They're like not huge Marines.
I thought they were like skipping, like their walking animation it almost looked like they were just walking.
Well, I did see that early on. There was like a Terminator captain that was just like jumping all over the place. Like almost like an anime character. And it's like, well, that's not really how Terminators move, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'd do my best to move that way if I had Terminator armor.
Yeah, seriously.
I'd be like, God, I'm trying to make this work.
Apparently all these little dwarfs are in armor and they just like jump around the ship. I don't know how it works.
Little. There's not a lot of armor. I mean, it's really, when you think about it, 2.5 feet of armor versus 7 feet of armor.
Good point. The physics.
Porn, I always tell you, right? That's why midget porn takes up less hard drive space.
Yeah.
But it costs more. I hear.
Savage.
Oh my God.
Zing. Oh my gosh. All right. So
Jason's go-to.
Yep. There it is. Boom. Dun-dun-dun.
Solid.
This is what happens when we get the gang together. So we were talking about some triumvirate, some possible chaos triumvirate. There was a couple of pictures spotted over the weekend at Warhammer World of Abaddon and Huron missing from the case. And the last time we saw that by the same individual that sent us those pictures, actually, in November, Celestine was missing. And then we all know what happened a couple weeks later. They put out that cheeky video about, I want to see Celestine, leading the crusade against, the forces of chaos at the Cadian Gate. And then, a month from that, we had the new triumvirate. So I'm almost wondering if that's, we were talking about it earlier, like who would you want in a chaos triumvirate? And I think universally we all said at least Abaddon, right?
I would say Abaddon has got to be the equivalent of the Call, the Saint.
I would say, but like if you look at these triumvirates, like you got one big motherfucker and then some little sized dudes. And for the most part, we've got new rules across the board, with the exception, I think, of Cypher, right? And
and the Grey Knight guy.
Well, he did get new rules. Like that dude was a totally brand new guy.
Well, yes and no. I mean, you could do everything that guy did before,
except strike at initiative with his. I mean,
which is so lame.
Well,
That's why no one uses them. I mean,
well, if you point, like I said, like we talked about it, we decided it was lame. But if you're the type of dude who plays a Grey Knight army with a Grey Knight librarian maxed out, that's your deal. This is your new deal. This guy is your new guy. He's better.
Mm-hmm. He's like 5 points. I don't know. I can't. If you
math out like how much does an Iron Halo cost, how much does a Thunderhammer cost, how much does being a level 3 psyker cost in the Codex? You math all that shit out. He's all right.
Yeah, but just take Drago.
But if you don't run Drago and you run the librarian, that's what I'm saying is we got new shit, right? We got new shit.
Right. Yeah.
Mainly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So except for Cypher, and we get a big guy and some little guys. So right at the gate, I'm talking my main man B-Core. Be'lakor, Triumvirate Be'lakor, the original data slate, one of the first things ever during the advent calendar years ago. I'm saying B-Core, Abaddon, and Huron for sure. Huron and his Red Corsairs, literally, that is a big part of Chaos.
So who's your big guy then? It's going to be Be'lakor?
Be'lakor.
Oh, that would be so good.
But okay. Are you wish listing right now or guessing what it's going to be?
I'm guessing what it's going to be.
Oh, because
I'm guessing because Be'lakor had a data slate. He was the first guy. Then he got another weird one, which for about a week, everyone thought invalidated the old one. Okay. So the new one said like demons, because it came out in like that new, like in the Wolfen book. Right. And everyone's like, oh, you can't take Be'lakor and Chaos Space Marines anymore because he's here.
Yeah.
And GW's like, no, both are still there. So he got it. He got love again because he's a big part of Chaos lore, especially as like this undivided ascended demon. He's our only demon that fits that bill. He's like the demon version of Abaddon, and he's the first. And then so Abaddon is, I think, an obvious has to be in there because first off, it's the primary opportunity for GW to give Abaddon the rules he needs to be good. Simple good rules. I think Huron. If I was going to guess, if they did those 3 models, and I was going to guess who got new rules and who didn't, I would say Abaddon gets new rules, Be'lakor gets new rules, Huron stays the same. Because Huron has a shitload of rules already. He's a lot like Cypher. He has like a page of rules that nobody ever looks at because he's not that popular of a character. But I've actually used Huron very successfully in some really dope Chaos armies. I think Juice remembers those days.
Oh, yeah.
And he has some cool ass rules. Like he comes preloaded with the Master Deception Warlord trait from the Chaos Codex, which lets you take D3 infantry units and infiltrate them. That's a powerful fucking rule to always have.
To know that you can build your army around that.
Yes. He's also a level 1 psyker and randomly generates a new psyker power every turn. And I have literally been Iron Arm Toughness 7 before with that guy pissing people off. He also has a badass Lightning Claw and a giant flamer attached to it, and a power axe. So he's got a lot of cool rules going on for him. I would say he's going to keep those cool rules. Be'lakor is going to get updated because we got all these new psychic powers, and he's just stuck in telepathy right now, and he has all those powers.
Yeah. From the Traitor Legions book.
Yep. We got
so Kenny. Oh, go ahead, Haspel. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, but we've seen snippets, hint pictures of Mortarion. So,
yeah, that's definitely Mortarion, 100%.
Yeah, I just didn't think that was going to be Triumvirate. I thought Mortarion. I thought Mortarion.
It would be bigger. Yeah, he'll be like Magnus size.
Because he's going to be Mortarion, the Demon Primarch. He's going to be a Magnus level release.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's Magnus.
Yeah, man. I could see that because they did Magnus and the Thousand Suns as one giant release, and then they would do Mortarion with the Death Guard as a giant release. I could definitely see that. Yeah.
I mean, he's going to have to be roughly not that bulky, but that size.
So, Kenny, if you had to narrow your list down even more, and I'm going to go with Abaddon or Be'lakor, you only get one of them, the Triumvirate. Which one is it? Because, also what we've seen is they give us a name character that we know, and then they introduce one or two others. So if you had to only get new rules, Triumvirate style rules, who is it? Abaddon, Be'lakor.
It's going to be Abaddon. I mean, it has to be because my heart says Abaddon deserves the rules that back his namesake. But he also
it's his crusade right now.
It's his crusade. So you're right. If we had to go on the principle of at least one of these guys has to be brand new, I think that Be'lakor is off the list because I just know GW is going to put Hero on Blackheart in that thing because that's a model that no one has ever bought. You know what I'm saying? That's also that plays into GW's.
But people know who he is.
People know he is. He's a big part of the current fight, like today's fight. He's like new Space Marine, new Chaos Space Marine recruit guy. Like it's not, like he doesn't necessarily represent trader starters. He potentially represents like new dudes. He's a kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so I can't wait for the bad guys to get some Triumvirate love. Because to be honest, I hope they keep this up. I hope this isn't just a spring summer thing. Like I hope they do rinse and repeat. I hope the Nids get a version. I hope the Orcs get a version. I mean, I'd love to see everybody get some Triumvirate love.
Well, I think the problem is that if you keep adding rules, it's going to keep bloating things. And it was cool with Shadow War because they figured out a way to make releases without really adding to the bloat. But now, and don't get me wrong, I want to see a plastic Abaddon just like everybody else. But, we know there's new rules on the way. It's almost like
Abaddon speculation. New rules. What would it be his biggest change?
Like if he was just straight new rules, not like a Triumvirate rules.
Well, like in the Triumvirate rules, they gave St. Celestine brand new rules.
Yeah,
that's true. Some of them were still the same. What is the biggest thing
modified
that he doesn't have?
Yeah, I mean, modified rollovers.
She got 18 wounds, bro. Like that's
yeah. Honestly, I feel like the biggest thing that she got was Eternal Warrior.
What?
Eternal Warrior.
Yeah, because she didn't have that. She just used to fall and get back up.
She used to just drop like freaking multi-lasers.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So anyway, to Kenny's point, I would say Triumvirate style rules. Abaddon gets 40 points cheaper. He his Storm Bolter is like 5 shot, strength 5, AP2.
That'd be cool.
He, obviously immediate form phase it however you want. He has a 2-up, 3-up. Whether he gets it from Zinch, whatever the case may be, he's a 2-up, 3-up.
And also, I like your idea on the Bolter because Gilliman has like this like gauntlet of Ultramar, which is basically described as a power fist, and that's what he has his gun mounted to. And when he wields the sword, the Emperor's sword, it has this stat line that's kind of like the description of how you envision it. So he doesn't have like a power fist and a sword with 2 separate profiles. Abaddon's always had the Talon of Horus and Drachnia, and they have like, you're going to swing this or you can swing that. I'd love to see that go into a new attack profile, just like Gilliman. He has the Talon of Horus and Drachnia, and he wields them at this profile.
Yeah, love that.
And I love the idea of him having the wrist-mounted gun, which is from Horus's armor. It cannot just be a goddamn Stormbolter.
No.
Like, so you can even use the rules for Gilliman as a base, like his hand of domination or whatever it is. Those rules are actually pretty good for what you can port over to a Talon of Horus.
Yeah, but I would like to say Abaddon is not a Primarch. So there should be some delineation between his stat line and that, but I'm just literally looking at Call. I'm looking at Call. I'm looking at the Saint. I'm looking at things that's like Call has got D3 strength 10 AP 1-shots. Okay, like the Saint got a free orbital bombardment now. Like there's some powerful shit for 200 points. I mean,
if Abaddon just was 200 points and didn't change, he'd be a whole lot better.
Yeah, that's true too.
His Warlord trait is preferred enemy already, like Aura, a bubble, a 12-inch bubble. which is already super powerful. He already has like all these amazing marks and everything. If he was just 200 points, I would already be happy.
Yeah, I guess to get the full Triumvirate treatment, he's got his close combat weapons, like you say, you get the choices, upgrade his bolter, give him an additional wound, so it's got 5 wounds, and he has a 2-up, 3-up.
If the Saint gets 5 wounds, he gets fucking 5 wounds.
Yeah. To be honest, if the Saint gets 5, then he should be at 6, but it is what it is. He's touched by all the gods, so he should be, he should be getting a lot more with all the gods' help.
Like he should be T6, and here's why. Yeah, Abaddon is toughness 5. He should be just toughness 5 with the Mark of Nurgle, thus toughness 6.
Yes. So this is exactly where I was getting ready to go with this, Kenny. Abaddon is the G of all Gs in the Chaos Realm. He is touched by all the gods. Why is he on the exact same level as the Chapter Master?
Because
without gods,
they thought it'd be funny to play a prank on him and not update his rules.
Yeah, right. So like, put him to that level, where he can come in like that, and I'm good with it.
Agreed. That's great. And also, why would the gods bless him the exact same blessings they give other hobos?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get +1, you're invulnerable, just like any hobo. You get +1 toughness, just like any hobo. Like, get out of here. This is Abaddon. You're saving the best gifts for him.
Yeah.
All seeing eyes, Zinch, 3 of invulnerable. Like, touch of corruption, toughness 6. Like, these are just names I'm inventing. They're not real. Like, Slanesh, the ecstasy of Slanesh always strikes first in close combat. Like,
yeah,
period. Like that.
Ooh, always. Nice.
Literally, I mean, Chord's Wrath, Rage and Rampage, like shit like that. Like, I mean, or just Rampage would be that rule because you already, like some additional thing, like what, like D3 extra attacks and close, like fucking something to make him just a beast. Because he's a beast until he goes up to a literal captain with a shield eternal.
Then he's done.
Then it's like, wait, not even Chapter Master shield eternal, just the captain.
Yeah.
Be like, yo, where'd you get that war gear from? I want that.
So hopefully in 6 weeks, 5 weeks, who knows, Robbie B, if there's a time frame, that hopefully in set amount of time we can look back at Abaddon what he was versus Abaddon what he will be, Triumvirate style, as in all the Eldar players could back in 3rd edition with the Avatar. The Avatar of Cain. There's supposed to be all this like Billy badass monstrous creature, the Wailing Doom named sword, and no special, nothing. He was he was a bitch. And then now, even though compared to Wraith Knight, he's nothing, but in all reality, compared to what he was in 3rd edition, he has all the rules. He's got cool stuff that allows him to do things. So hopefully we can kind of feel that same type of scenario.
Fucking goddamn Avatar. Throw invisibility on him with a Farseer, he is an issue. He'll one and done a Wraith Knight at initiative, or a Wraith, like literally, even though obviously you can deal with him pretty easily in the tabletop. The guy got beast update.
Wailing Doom said it ignored cover, or ignored armor saves. That's all the Wailing Doom used to say. That was all the special abilities he got in 3rd edition.
OP, clearly.
OP. He had a fearless bubble.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad either.
That was literally the only thing that was good about him. Was that like now your fucking stupid guardians were fearless? Like you're like, yay.
Well, before we go down the dark path to Eldar, let's take a quick break, come back and talk about these new transports.
Dear veterans, quickly make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at dicehead.com have rewarded us all with an extra 6% discount on all dicehead.com merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by Elric's Hobbies. Check out elricshobbies.com and take your hobby to that next level.
Dear veterans, quickly make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
And we're back. So some interesting rules came out, and I know what you're thinking. You're like, wait, you got rules about 40K, new transports? Well, maybe. This is just, again, pure conjecture on all our parts.
Did you just clickbait me with this title, Rob?
I mean, I masterfully clickbaited you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Got him. So so as we know, I actually can back this up. At Adepticon, they said a lot of things about the new rule set for 40K, and a lot of it is drawing direct parallels from Age of Sigmar. So I'm like, well, what possibly could we draw parallel-wise for rules for transports? Because we all know how the transport game is right now. It needs a little cleaning up in 40K. So they just came out with their very first transport rules in Age of Sigmar, the Arcanaut Ironclad, the Frigate, actually those two right there, have rules for embarking and disembarking. And I figured we could break these down because there's a lot of stuff to discuss in reference to how something written like this would work in 40K, or how 40K would even work if this was the way the transport rules are written currently, which they kind of are in some regards to the new FAQs, I suppose, right? So the Arcanaut Ironclad has transport ability. You can embark and disembark troops. So basically, the cool thing is right off the bat, when you set up, this is what it says. It says when you set up an Arcanaut Ironclad, units of Skyfarers, keyword, so sub out Skyfarers, replace it with whatever the faction is for your army, orcs, Tyranids, Space Marines, whatever. That's kind of how keywords work in Age of Sigmar. Units of Skyfarers can start the battle embarked within it instead of being set up separately. Declare which units, plural, are embarked inside the Arcanaut Ironclad when you set it up. So it has a transport capacity of 20 Skyfarer models. So imagine how, remember, you can't join characters to units in Age of Sigmar. It's a little bit different. So what this is saying is you can take a squad of like 10 dudes and say 2 character models, put those 12 models, start the game embarked inside the transport.
What you're saying is there's no delineation in this game system. This rule system doesn't require a new piece of text to tell you or allow you to disallow or allow you to put multiple units in a transport.
Correct.
It is literally 10 models go in this, as long as they have this rule.
Yes, as long as they have that keyword, which, we've seen some abuse with things embarking with other things, trying to become part of their squads, I suppose, right? In the past.
Yeah. Absolutely. Actually, porting that over to 40K, GW has for years been going out of their way to let us know what is and what is not allowed to have people in transports, whose transport they can get in. So this like free reign ability, the only caveat to that being it's got to be from said faction or said type of models, that's pretty clutch. I really love how they are saying heroes are not in a unit, but that will not stop 5 heroes from jumping in this, flying blimp with 5 of their homies. Like, I love this.
And another thing that's interesting is the transport capacity indicates a number of models, and these guys don't have things that say, you've got guys in here that have multiple wounds. They're not
bulky. You're not bulky.
Yeah, you're not.
Literally.
Right. You're not bulky and such. So it's like kind of interesting.
Yeah, sorry, Rob. Like, again, GW is just making it, cutting out the fat. We talk about all the time in our Beats Lab, we cut out the fats in points, right, in lists. So you got to shave down from 1850 to 1500, you got to cut out the fat, get rid of upgrades, get rid of this. GW is literally cutting out the fat in their verbiage Just like, if we introduce bulky models and this, we have to write extra sentences for everything.
New pages, like new rules. Listen, I mean, literally, it's funny because they have been on this warpath of making transports less and less effective in any way except a blade of armor to the guys inside. There's you can't start the game embarked in a transport if it's not your faction. You can't start the game and you can't start you can't be in a drop pod now if it's not your dedicated transport. Like there's like all these little rules, and with caveats that I may be misquoting, but they've gone on this warpath of making them more and more difficult to use and less exploitable. Then you go to AOS with the 40K brain and you're looking at this rule and you're like, wait, what? No, they're like, no, that's not the game. That's not what we care about. All we care about is only this group of guys is allowed to be in this end of what we care about. They don't care what you put in there or what configuration of guys you put in there. They just care that they're the same dudes who own that, like the same faction of, balloon dwarves that own this.
Right. So I thought that was cool. Like as we read through these, you're gonna notice some. What I hope is some really well-written rules passages here. So now for the embarking mechanic, if all models in a Skyfarer unit can move to within 3 inches of a friendly Arcanaut ironclad in the movement phase, they can embark within it. Remove the unit from the battlefield and place it to one side. It is now embarked inside the vessel. So you just got to move within 3.
You know what I like too? There's no hatches, nothing. It's like an open top vehicle in 40K. It's like you just got to get within 3 inches of the hole. You're inside. Not a rhino. You got to like crawl around the side, get within 3 inches of the hatch.
Yep.
Like I like that.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's very well written. Now, what can embark units do? Well, they cannot normally do anything or be affected in any way while they are embarked. So that's kind of a departure from...
What an amazing sentence. What an amazing sentence. And it's so simple that you actually don't have to worry about writing FAQs about it, whether or not this special ability, whether or not anything else. Hey, Kenny, real quick, can I have a psychic ability that hits all units on the table? Does it?
You normally can't do anything inside the transport nor be affected by anything. You got what's the next question?
Yep, there it is. Like, okay, but hold on. Well, I've got this other ability that when I can make a shooting attack to all units within 18 inches.
Well, it can't normally affect anything that's in a transport, and the unit in the transport can't do anything.
I mean,
next question.
Yeah, I mean, it is GW. Like, I don't know why you just didn't
literally
copy and paste that over to 40K 5 years ago, 8 years ago.
The unit cannot do anything nor be affected by anything. The Senate, like, end of sentence.
Yeah.
Like, it's like so perfect. GW's having to release FAQ at the FAQ at the FAQ. Like, and also they had to remember that Haspel during like our, what was it? GW kept releasing FAQ every week, and we kept reviewing them. Something that came up every time was a precedent that they kept reinforcing. Remember?
Yeah. Yep.
It was crazy. Like every time you'd hit us up with it, it'd be like, didn't they just say this the last time? It's like they didn't want us to forget.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, not to beat a dead horse, but like, do you see the verbiage that they use to describe it? It's as if they don't exist or whatever. Say it one more time for me.
So it says, embark units cannot normally do anything or be infected in any way whilst they are embarked.
So they use like 3 words in there to triple make you understand what in the hell what they actually mean. It's not ambiguous at all. There is zero chance of misinterpreting that in any other way. I can only think of a couple things GW has ever done. So,
Juice, I've got this thing called the Doom of Malenkai, and it's got this weird thing where, like, if you're in this range and it doesn't quite say that it works on dudes in a transport, but I think it does. Do you think it works on these guys?
Yeah, let me tell you what, GW decided to write this rule like they were Americans. So I'm going to answer that by saying hell no, because that's actually what they wanted to say. When I hear that sentence, I'm like, GW in my mind is really saying, fuck no, you cannot mess with them.
Nope. And I can't believe that even came up. Remember back in the day, guys, and that was the rule, and people were like just trying
so hard
to make that model work. And it's like, well, it doesn't say it can't do it. I was like, dog, there's a permissive rule set. Like that is a rabbit hole argument. It doesn't say my Space Marines aren't toughness 6. It just says they are toughness 4. Like, get the fuck out of here.
So it does actually get more specific, believe it or not. So it goes on to say, furthermore, unless specifically stated, abilities that affect other units within certain range have no effect on a unit that is embarked, or whilst the unit that has the ability is embarked, you cannot measure from or to an embarked unit.
For auras, like that was the old 5th edition Blood Angels Sanguinary Priest 6-inch Feel No Pain bubble.
And a rhino, you measure from the hull, and
there was a line in the 5th edition codex, the 5th edition rulebook, the 6th edition rulebook, and the current 7th edition rulebook that we pulled out on a podcast for people that says there's any effect that you need to measure to the embarked unit, just measure to the hull.
Yep,
That's literally in 7th edition. The FAQs have recently come out and said, fuck all that. And that's the thing that we were talking about just a second ago. Every other FAQ that came out during that FAQ spree had a thing in there that just was like a reinforcement of like, nope, you can't, fuck no, hell no, fuck no, hell no. They literally that's like basically an errata to their rulebook that they didn't say was an errata. And now here, Age of Sigmar, it's written flawlessly from the beginning. And that's why this episode is not a clickbait title. It is clearly, to me, and I think my compatriots here, that is literally obviously going to be 40K.
I think when they start borrowing perceived 40K FAQ terminology and put it into these rules, this is definitely a precursor to something we're going to see in a new rule set. But let's keep moving with it. So if the ironclad is destroyed, the passengers immediately bail out. Roll a die for each model embarked within it. For each roll of 1, a model from that model's unit, your choice, is slain, which is kind of important because some of these models have multiple wounds. And if you're just allowed to pick the little 1 wound dude that's in there, because remember, you can put multiple units in these things, then that seems pretty good, I feel like.
Rob, can you reread that whole phrase for me? I think I just picked something out of it that's interesting.
Okay. We'll see if it's the exact same thing as me too, but I picked something up as well.
If the Arcanaut ironclad is destroyed, the passengers immediately bail out. Roll a die for each model embarked within it. For each roll of 1, a model from the model's unit.
Yep, that's what I was looking at. So if you did pile 5 heroes into it, each
you have to 5. Yeah,
each one of them has to have their own role that they can't put somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's
that's exactly what I was trying to fish out too. It's like, do you roll for 12 models, 12 guys inside? I roll 12 dice and get to allocate the wounds where I want. It's like, no, it says each unit.
Each model's unit. So you can have 5. You can have 5 heroes in there and 15 dudes. You roll 15 dice for the dudes, and 1 individual dice 5 times for each individual hero. You roll a 1, your hero's got. No matter, he can have 35,000 wounds. He's got.
Wow.
That is third edition Dangerous Terrain rules.
That is very dangerous.
The embarked units must then disembark before the vessel is removed. And why that is important is because the next set of rules on actual disembarkation, you're going to see that closes the door on, remember, people would, let me deploy my dudes in this tight little ball inside where the rhino was. As long as it's 1 inch away from the enemy, I can do that.
Are you talking about emergency disembarkation?
Yeah.
Well, that's when a vehicle explodes. That was the delineation between.
fifth or something.
No, yeah, what you're saying, Rob, is like when a vehicle explodes, you had to get out in the crater. If the vehicle just is a wreck, then you have to get out within one of the ports. Yeah, the hatches. Right. So I guess they're not going to have. Is there not a chart of the levels of, did it really explode? Did it just
No, it's not
crash?
like that. Like nothing in this game system. Remember, this is like a model with this. I imagine it's a model with this many wounds and this save.
Because remember, there's the what is it? Progressive damage chart, I guess we could call it, where your model consecutively gets weaker the more wounds it takes.
I just didn't know if, because they, you know how GW is when they introduce a new mechanic like a transport, because we haven't seen this before in Age of Sigmar. I didn't know if there was a separate chart of, hey, this and
do
this.
We have what I want to ask, do we have stat lines? Does it have?
Yeah, it's 18 wounds, 7 bravery, moves 8, save of 4 up. And
literally exactly what I said. I was like, fucking wounds, no armor values, none of that bullshit. Literally, when you get through its wounds, the model is removed, the unit has to disembark. But you disembark the unit, then remove the model, and that order is what it's saying.
Robbie B, do you know the first thing that I'm not impressed with? It only moves 8 inches. That's its move.
So, well, that's calculated, though, because there's ways to get bonus movement. There's a bunch of different ways to get bonus movement from what I've been seeing.
Okay, cool.
I couldn't tell you all of them, but there's a lot of D3 rolls and such.
Oh, gotcha. I was sitting there. I was like, wow, that is actually, I mean, I bet you the models themselves inside of that is probably.
But look how hard it is to deal with. You can put some of your hardest core motherfuckers in there and just be like, I get across the table with no damage.
Yeah, that is true. And you know what? At the end of the day, this is a stopgap. I wish my Skaven can get this. If I could port this exact model over and put it in my Skaven army, there is, like against the Slant or Robbie B's army, you can put down 4d3 mortal wounds a turn from range, right?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, for the most part, I can do like 12 wounds. 13-ish.
Mortal wounds, just that you can't do anything about. Like that is literally, like 18. You said, Kenny, that is a 18, 18
a blade of wounds. For your bad motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It's just like it turned out in 40K, like having a rhino is actually a thing now in 7th edition. Now, let's take a look at the disembark rules, because I actually want to go, now that we talked about the wounds, I want to go over some of the little special rules and see what you guys think too. But let's get back to the transport stuff. So disembarking, any unit that begins its hero phase embarked within the Arcanaut Ironclad can disembark. So this is saying that during the hero phase, which directly precedes, this is when you do your command benefits, cast your magic, you do all your stuff, any compulsory free movement type stuff that's done during the hero phase, you do during the hero phase, and you can still run and perhaps charge or move, run, and maybe charge during the assault phase, depending on how you do it and what special rules you have. So in the hero phase, you disembark. In the movement phase, now you get to move. And then there's no restriction also to charging unless you ran. So what do you think about those kind of changes? Like, what if we get a hero phase in 40K? And then now you can just roll up with your rhino. The next turn, you just get out in the hero phase and then shoot, run, charge, whatever.
I'm with it.
Yeah, it's, we'll see. I am hesitant to lead an opinion, give an opinion one way or the other on how I feel about adding different phases to the game, because it is tough for me to try to comprehend how bloated 40K is right now to throw in different phases in which I can do more things. So it is tough for me to even lend an opinion right now because of that. But hopefully it will do something different to the game.
Well, and don't you remember, like in 4th and 5th, isn't that the way rhinos used to work anyway, or a lot of vehicles used to work? Like if you hadn't moved yet, you could get out.
Yeah, so
rhino rush.
Third edition, you can move, get out, pile out to assault 6. So that was the rhino rush. In 4th edition, as long as the vehicle didn't move, you can get out 6 and charge. But in 4th edition, they introduced entanglement, which meant if the vehicle exploded and your guys were in it, no matter what special rules they had, they were essentially pinned for the next turn, even if they were fearless. Right. And then in 5th edition, all they did was remove entanglement, and it was the same rule set. And then in 6th edition, and 7th edition, if you're in a vehicle in the preceding turn, no matter what circumstances, unless it's open topped or assault vehicle, no matter what the circumstances, if you being either forced to get out or you getting out on your own volition, you can't assault the next turn.
Right. Yeah.
So like a lot of people mess that rule up. Like they'll run their Rhinos across the table, they'll get blown up, and they'll assault the next turn. You can't do that.
Yeah.
That actually puts you in assault 1 turn faster than if you got out. And like it's in the rules that like, sorry, brah, you can't. So they don't want you to do that.
And that makes the differentiation. That's what makes assault vehicles valuable. You know, that's what gives them that little extra oomph.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and you know, I actually, a rule that I had to correct recently in the Beats Lab last Monday when I was playing was that rule. I blew up their Rhino with their dudes in it, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna get on assault." I was like, "You can't." Like, "Oh, you can," because like it was last turn. I was like, "Check this out," and they showed them the rule, and they're like, "Damn, I never realized that." I was like, "Well, think about this: if you're in a Rhino, and the whole like, you know, theory is that it takes you a minute to like get out, get organized before you can launch an attack. How can you do that more efficiently during an explosion? Like now that your vehicle's like been torn to pieces, now you're somehow faster. Because in this scenario, I move, right? I move across, I get in the Rhino and move. Then I get out of the Rhino, sit, you shoot me, then in my turn I can assault you. That's 3 actions, right? 3 separate things.
It's like a free soul burst.
In this situation, you're just chilling in a Rhino, I blow it up, you get out and assault the same turn. That's like 1 whole step removed from the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, so GW went super hard in the paint on transport rules. Like from 3rd edition to where we are now, it seems like we're in a balance, but it's all but made Rhinos and other dedicated transports. It's made them just a blade of honor to the units, and they just sit on objectives. That is the only fucking thing they do.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason to put like no one puts units in these vehicles outside of a minimum squad. No one, like, unless it's a Gladius that's still 5-man but with some guns. But literally the vast majority of dedicated transports are just dudes, nothing, dedicated transport. They don't do anything but sit on objectives. Boring.
So now that we know how the embark works, you just get within 3, as long as all the squad there, you just get in. Disembark works very similar. So when they disembark, you set it up so all the models are within 3 inches of the vessel and none are within 3 inches of any enemy models. If that happens, any disembarking model that cannot be set up in this way is slain. So what are your thoughts on that?
You said 3 inches and 3 inches, right? So you can't be within 3 inches. In Age of Sigmar, you can't be within 3 inches of an enemy model. Right.
So when a unit disembarks, set it up so that all its models are within 3 inches of the vessel and none are within 3 inches of an enemy.
That is a tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. And
especially if there's dudes around it.
I'm saying like close hatching is a term that the community has created to explain the phenomenon of bringing up a unit, wrapping around the transport, and hole pointing it out. So now the dudes inside have nowhere to go. They're literally killed. They can't even emergency disembark. It's pretty hard to do in 40K because of the 1 inch rule, because you only have to. It's only a 1 inch requirement, and as long as there's an angle, you can emergency disembark. Here, they're saying 3 inches from the enemy. That's literally triple the threat now. Every unit ever that is trying to do this thing to a vehicle is 3 times more able to, and most of these models have 32mm bases. It's just, I mean,
so that's an inch and a quarter almost.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. And God forbid you've got some heroes on surfboard bases or anything else. It's gonna get dicey. So there is some definite pros of having 18 blade of wounds to keep your guy alive. But man, if you got to get out after the vehicle is blown up, 1 in 6 chance you're dead. And getting out is going to be kind of an issue.
It's something we talked about. In Age of Sigmar, they want people to die. They want motherfuckers get got. That game, shit dies all the time. And these rules are streamlined. They're very powerful. They're very cool. This thing has 18 wounds, 18 whole points with a 2-up armor save, right?
4 up.
Or 4 up armor, 18 wounds, 4 up armor save, and it moves.
And it's got some other special rules I want to talk about. Let's finish.
So I'm saying is it moves pretty decent range. It's hard to deal with. That's very effective. But they are giving and they're taking in the same. They're saying, hey, we understand this is powerful, but recognize you can't just throw this into the middle of someone's army and think everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it's not a crutch by any means. So units that disembark can then act normally, including using abilities that can be used in the hero phase. So getting them out doesn't take away their hero phase. It's still the hero phase. For the remainder of the turn, a unit cannot disembark and embark in the same turn, which I think is fair. We've seen that in the past. I don't think anybody questions that one there. So that basically brings up the rear on those rules there. Now, I think we can all kind of agree, hey, there's stuff in there that we've seen in 40K. There's stuff in there that was just added in FAQ. So it is probably not a reach to say that this might be a prototype or a roadmap to kind of maybe the new transport rules that we would see in a new edition for 40K. That's just kind of how I feel. Now, they have some cool rules like, you can carry 25 Skyfarer models in the big one. But for each Skyfarer over 20, it reduces its move characteristic by 1 inch. So it's kind of like some wacky stuff that maybe you could see the orcs doing something like that in 40K. Like, oh, let's pile in there, boss, or whatever. Oh,
so if you're at 20, your movement is unaffected, but if you're at 25, minus 5 inches.
Yeah, or you could go 21 and it would just be -1. Because remember, you can load them.
What's its base movement?
Base movement is 8.
So you're definitely not trying to be 3-inch movement with this thing.
No, not at all. Now there is a way to get extra D3 movement in the movement phase if you can see a navigator model visible to these guys. Now there's some battalions that let you take 2 extra bonus moves back to back, but it's all little stuff that you're just gonna have to kind of read through and find for yourself there. But it does. How about this roll, Kenny? Roll a dice for this model in each of your hero phases. On a 4 or more, it heals a wound.
Each hero phase. Wait, this is each of your hero phases.
Your hero phases.
Oh, cool! It will not die on a 4 up. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning of your turn, not the end, so it's way easier for you to remember.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the hero phase. They don't really try to hide it. Doesn't seem like
GW really 40K really has 10 phases or more.
Oh, that's not even counting if you play with Soul Burst.
That's the big secret. Like you have, movement, shooting, psychic, assault. Everyone thinks it's 4 phases, and they think, oh, that's why it's slow because we have this new second phase. The second phase is slow, but you have a whole shitload of rules that exist inside of its own mini phase within the phase that you always have to remember. And if you do remember them all, we're not even talking about Eldar with the movie shooty assaulty phases on top of everything, but like just use It Will Not Die as a primary example. That is at the end of your turn roll. That's actually no one remembers it, but literally it is its own new little special phase, the It Will Not Die phase. Then you have all leadership checks and morale checks from falling back units happen at the start of your turn. That's the morale phase. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't. Then you have reserves are rolled to begin the turn. That's the reserve phase. I mean, you have all these partitioned elements and subcategories. It's so not streamlined right now. It's so bloated. And when you play a real robust game of 40K, 2 big armies with big rules, big new hot special rules and formations, and all of these things are happening at the same time, it takes 1 billion seconds.
Oh yeah, it's definitely very, very hard to get a grip around. So just throwing all that stuff into a catch-all like hero phase or whatever the 40K equivalent may or may not be would seem advantageous at the very least. Just scratching the surface, looking at some of these rules here.
I mean, we would probably get a command phase. That's when you do second powers.
Command phase, yep.
That's when you rally units. That's when you bring in reserves. Like, I'd love to see a command phase be our new catch-all phase.
That would clear up a lot of the problems we had in the past with summoning demons, at the start of the movement phase. Does that mean they get their movement? Can they assault? What, are they sweeping or they're gliding? Like, all that stuff. So there's a lot of potential here, just gleaning little notes from these war scrolls here. I feel like there was actually another interesting one too that really caught my attention. It's called Batten the Hatches, and it says in each of your hero phases, before any unit disembarks, the Ironclad's captain can give this order. If they do so until your next hero phase, you can re-roll save rolls of 1 for this model, but no unit can disembark or embark.
You know why that's a great rule? Because this thing only moves 8 engines.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, that rule is dope because you're always going to use it that first time, because it's not like you don't have enough immediate speed to be in a situation where the opponent's going to be able to, you're going to be able to get to the opponent next turn.
Right.
So I love that rule.
Need to be honest. I mean, their weapons are 24 to 18 on the most part.
With quality shots here, Robbie B?
Yeah, I mean, you got a volley cannon that's 18 inches, 10 attacks, 4 is to hit, 4 is to wound, -1 Ren, 1 damage.
Pretty solid storm bolter.
Pretty solid with -1 Ren from range, just quality.
They got some torpedoes that are 24-inch range, 4 shots if it's full health, 4 is to hit, 3 is to wound, -1 Ren, D3. Sky cannons, 24-inch. It's only 1 shot, but it hits on 4s, wounds on 2s, -2 Ren, D6 damage. But there's ways to actually get to reroll 1s, to hit rolls of 1 with this. And then there's ways to do it multiple times and get some other combos. So,
what a robust set of guns.
Yeah, it covers all the spectrum.
It's got some stuff. Like there's some interesting things in here. And I obviously my 40K brain's kind of churning through it. But there's some other cool stuff too that if you play Age of Sigmar, you can really come to appreciate these. So I'm pretty stoked. I think these guys are going to make a splash. I think it's the right time at the right place. I'm a little sad there's only 12 War Scroll units in here, but to be honest, I mean that represents a significant financial investment on Games Workshop's part just to develop these kits, you know. So can't hate. But it's what it doesn't have for models, it definitely makes up for in special rules and all sorts of new things out there in a new general handbook kind of era, I feel like.
Haspel, guys, y'all ready for this? I pose a question. What is the Blimpy McBlimpertons? What's their faction again? What's their name?
The Caradon Overlords.
Are the Caradon Overlords the new Grey Knights of 5th edition?
They very well might be.
I don't know enough to I'm going to go ahead and say no.
All I'm saying is, like, I can draw some comparisons. The Storm Raven became famous on the back of Grey Knights.
Truth.
It's no units that wore power armor and Terminator armor had more special rules than Grey Knight ones. And it sounds like these guys have all the cool special rules.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and low model count. Not that many things going on in the book. We'll see. I hope they're a bunch of badasses.
It seems individually they're going to be. I think they're going to be pretty balanced, honestly, because already you described the rules on that gunship are they're a bunch of hitting out 4s or wounding out 4 rules. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and then
they flip flop it. Yeah.
Yeah, my prediction is going to be for sure they're going to be the tone. They're going to have a lot of cool quality stuff. They're going to be pretty good at multiple things and a little tough to deal with. I think that they're going to be interesting, and they're definitely have the ability to add something to the meta right now in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a welcome addition to the game system itself and definitely the universe there. So
there is a question that I wanted to bring up that I saw in the chat circulating. Like, how do you deal with all the disembarkation and embarkation? Is it just measured from the base, even though they've kind of said that the base doesn't matter for Age of Sigmar?
So that is an interesting question. Most tournaments, if you're playing matched play, you measure everything from the base. Now, rules is written if you're just playing, you know, just for funsies from home, you just measure from any part of the model. So that could actually screw you pretty bad if you do it that way and you let somebody assault your little wings and stuff.
I mean, a model that's floating above the battlefield too, isn't it? Like on a little bit of a flight stand.
Yeah, they have a new special flight stand for
like
it.
Those are impossible to accurately measure anything from.
Yeah.
Unless you use the base.
Wait. So you're telling me that in Age of Sigmar, they're asking you to not pay attention to the base and measure to wherever you feel like?
Yeah, rules is written. Yeah. That's the way it is. But it causes a big problem because on some of these, like bigger models or whatever, if your guy has like a 1-inch range weapon, you literally can't hit the model unless you stack your base on somebody else's base.
Yeah, and if my stuff's painted, don't put your.
Yeah. So every game we've ever played, like I've ever played, we just house rule it that you measure from the base.
I don't even understand that.
Yeah, I mean, organized match play has come in there and said the base matters.
Yeah, they said go by the base. And I think at the beginning I was like, well, this is kind of silly too. So when we were trying it out, when it first came out, I was like, this isn't going to work. We got to use bases. And, they might just come out in the next General's Handbook and just be like, hey, it's just like this as it is. Because now if you do that, you're basically measuring to the stem because that's the only thing that's touching the base in the middle of the model, which seems also silly. So.
It's like Mech Warrior, the old Mech Warrior game where it said measure from the center of the model. God damn, dog. I saw some beatdowns happening in the local game store over that piece of shit rule.
Hashtag gamers get serious.
Yeah. This ain't a game, man. This is real life.
This is real life.
Real life.
Quit school because of recess. So that's all I got on the embarking and disembarking and stuff till we get a good read on the book. And see if there's any other maybe hidden Easter eggs for 8th edition in the Dwarf book.
Hashtag not clickbait.
It's mostly not clickbait.
Mostly.
Hashtag real bait.
Yeah.
Real bait.
Whatever.
Episode 96. Will it fit new 40K transport rules? Question mark. Very important to that line.
Done masterfully.
What I've gleaned from all of this is that they just need to let me write 8th edition. I'm just going to throw this out there. They just need to pass me the torch and I will write this game.
Maybe you're the missing equation.
Yeah.
That we need because that is a weekly plea we make.
Dude, I guarantee you this combat phase nonsense that Warhammer's had for so long it breaks immersion so poorly. I sit there and I watch the games and, I'm not trying to just be the bad cop or the naysayer of the group, but for me, wargaming is 100% about that immersion. Whether you find it in the hobby or you find it in rolling dice and removing models from the table is irrelevant. It's about whatever gets you hooked and keeps you hooked. And if I got to go okay, what am I doing now? Is now the time where I get to shoot or is now the time where I have to move? Dude, I just want to push. I want to move my model, roll some dice, and figure out what I'm going to do. I feel like the combat phase, and you guys are briefly, I don't know this is off topic, but I feel like it puts you in a position where tactics start to be very repetitive when you set everything into a combat phase, as opposed to making a model an open book for when it's its turn to go. I get to choose if I want to use a psychic power, if I want to use that model's activation to shoot my Stormbolt or whatever weapons I've got on him, or if I want to assault and do close combat with this other model. Having to make those choices puts me in the game, as opposed to now I move the model, now I get to shoot with that weapon system, now I get to assault and slap somebody upside the head with my my Thunderhammer, and then in this other phase now I get to do this other thing with this model. It makes the game so repetitious. You get into here's what I do with this army. I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and it's like repeat as necessary.
Yeah, there has to be interaction.
That's 100% true. Yeah. Most tactics that we come up with in our Beats Lab are 100%. This is what my army does. Sometimes in the battle you have to react because their army is doing what their army does, so the reason. So it's fun it's fun when you execute an idea. That's always fun. But what happens more times than not is that you don't get to execute the only plan you have for your army in a certain matchup. And now you're just not even playing your army anymore. You're just like moving around, trying not to die.
Right, because your plan doesn't survive contact with the enemy all the time, and I think that's one of the greatest things about miniature games is that it puts you in a situation. I feel like the best games, and I'm not going to throw names of games in here. I mean, people are asking in chat about other games already, but there are good parts to every game. There's great parts to Warhammer 40K. There's great parts to Age of Sigmar. There's great parts that I still glean from old Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Obviously, not all of them are great, but there's those things that really key off and make the game fun. And I don't find fun in when I build a list and I have this thing, and the way the mechanics of the game work is that when my plan fails to survive contact with the enemy, I now feel like you said, I just have to move my models around and kind of aimlessly try to hope maybe dice go my favor in one way. I feel like you lose some of the flexibility, and that's it's disturbing, right? It feels like, wow, this should be more fun, and I don't know I want to wring more fun out of it. I think that's all they need to spend time thinking about.
We've been preaching activation. We would love to see some more activation-based play from new 40K.
Yeah, exactly. Just give, whether they do it, some games do it through order counts, some games do it through activation points on models, and make the general the human behind this thing, make you have to really stretch your limits every single game. And number one, the thing that helps the most out of that is that the survivability of the game increases tenfold, because now every game is different. You could play the same army played by the same opponent on the same table 3 times in a row, but if you run where it's activation points or order activation, and your models are limited by a certain amount of things they can do, so you don't just get to move, shoot, assault, psychic. You don't have all those choices because you got a limited amount of things you can do with your army every turn, let's say. Then you are forced into new situations, just by picking a different table edge to start from, changes your whole game plan. And that's what I love about, miniature games, is that I could walk up to the table, and at any given time, this army that I've been playing for 6 years could have to react completely differently because I'm playing against a guy I've never played before who has a totally different view of the game. And I want so badly for 40K to become that,
I think it will. I'm hopeful, but I'm always the optimist. But I always expect the worst. But no, I think GW's onto it. They know it's clunky. They're going to try to fix it, and we'll just see kind of where it goes from there. Really. What's
that term? Cautiously optimistic?
Masterfully optimistic.
Goddamn.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got, guys. Anybody else? I feel like we blew through all our content already.
Already, I feel like we masterfully, did it. Haspel, do us.
Abort! We never left the Shonies.